Jan, somebody who was doing the agenda today had a great sense of humor because you were talking about let's trust, and I'm saying don't trust. And who in this room knows how many babies were born because somebody was told, trust me. Anyhow, I am a guilty CIO whose experience with cybersecurity was I ignored it and I delegated it. And actually, I had a lot of fear for, it's complicated, you need to be an expert, etc., etc. So today, demystifying zero trust, and I'll be sharing with you my perspective. I joined Netskope recently. I come from the industry, many years in automotive, supply chain, sports goods manufacturer, utilities, etc. What should CIOs ask CISOs? For a concept, zero trust, is anyone not familiar with the concept? Has anyone not heard the concept in the room? We're all very knowledgeable. For something that represents literally nothing, zero trust has been pretty much everywhere recently. And why should we care? Jan, you mentioned how much data and applications are now in a cloud. We have research that suggests that an average, kind of mid-of-the-road large enterprise has over 2,000 cloud applications. Many of them are actually not known to IT, to CIOs, and to CISOs. The ones that are known are probably not governed. The ones that are governed are probably not managed. And if you doubt that you have applications that you not know about, I think go to a marketing department. Yeah, they are the best to do things for themselves. Over 60% of company data is in a cloud. And the knowledge workers are everywhere. So the three pillars is applications, data, and people, which means that the cybercrime is increasing. We've heard the statistics from Jan, and it costs us a lot. And in the same spirit as Jan before, I'd like to give you an example. What does it mean in real life? Last year, you could buy a source code of electronic arts on a dark web, available to everyone to buy. An interesting point about this breach that I found is, does anybody know how it happened? Anybody heard of it? It actually happened via Slack. Yeah? Slack and social engineering. And you get access to the source code. And it's ever so trivial. Yeah, it's ever so trivial. You get via social engineering, you get details of someone's credentials. They log on to Slack. They Slack their support team and say, hey, been to a party yesterday, fantastic thing, and left behind my phone. Do you mind helping me out? Yeah? So, and the rest is history, not such a funny history, but one that we could probably all learn from. So, zero trust is literally about protecting applications, data, people anywhere. And it starts with, back to Jan's point, it's not if, it's when. One of the basic premises is assume breach and act from there. Assume your systems have already been compromised. And today, the kind of my CIO perspective, the three is, zero trust is a technology, it's binary, and it's not my problem. Let's start with the technology myth. It's zero trust, it's a strategy, it's a paradigm, it's again, what I mentioned earlier, it's assume breach, it's verify then trust. The environment that most of us are probably familiar with, pre-2020, is trust by verify. This implicit trust, if you use a certain device, if you're within a network, etc., then you are trusted, to the mode of verify, then trust. So from the strategy, we go to architecture. The zero trust architecture is coined by Gartner as SASE, Secure Access Service Edge. And in essence, there are two simple components. It's security as a service and network as a service. Again, no rocket science. And double-clicking on security as a service, what do we want? We want web browsing to be secure. We want cloud applications to be secure. I want to make sure that there is no data loss occurring, as well as I want to make sure that the user behavior, that I educate users based on their behavior, and that I include the analytics from there. Number 2, it's binary. Again, the concept of where Zero Trust started, or where things used to be, we have very simple criteria. We have a person who is working in a department, who has a certain user, certain privileges, and they work on a device which is managed or unmanaged, and they get to access their private applications. And the access is very simple. It's you allow or you deny. That's no longer adequate, and it's not enough. So looking at this criteria, what do we need to consider? We need to consider, what is it that they're actually using? Are they trying to access an application that we know is not very secure? WeTransfer, I think security score of WeTransfer, it's in a low kind of in the low 50%. Yeah. So should we allow people to upload information and data and files onto WeTransfer in the same way as we allow to use corporate OneDrive? Maybe not. Should we allow people to, if people are using their personal instance of OneDrive, and we as a company are on the Microsoft stack and we're using corporate OneDrive, how do we know what they're downloading, uploading, and what granularity is embedded in this construct? So again, out of the very binary, it's allow or deny. It's allow, deny, warn, justify, redirect, and coach. Justify is an interesting one, because the toughest thing that I find in a company is to tell people what to do, because they never do. And the best HR business partner I've ever had, she said, people are trouble. Yeah. And by this justify and coach, very powerful instruments how we can really live more of that good digital citizen and the human firewall. I remember my board of directors, they were standing all there doing human firewall. Is, are you sure you want to access this app? Are you sure you want to download this data? Could you please provide the justification? Tell us why. You can still do it, but tell us why. As well as coach suggest a GDPR training, or maybe not. So from that very simplistic model, Zero Trust went into having that intelligence of being context aware, of being adaptive, and of being continuous. And number 3, it's a pure CISO topic. And it's actually very true that majority of Zero Trust initiatives, related initiatives, do stem from the CISOs. And the primary motivation often is about risk. It's about protecting our assets, and the 3 topics that every board will subscribe to, what do they expect from CISO? It's resilience, it's compliance, and it's protection from crime. Yeah, and that's where it starts. And again, Zero Trust initiatives, those the projects, implementation projects, they bring down the risk. But what they also help us do is consolidate the environment, simplify operations, and reduce cost. On top of it, the study shows that it's considerable increase in productivity, business agility. If we look at the last 2 years, the biggest worries, the biggest factors that CEOs consider are changing or will be changing their strategy. Supply chain disruption, just looking at that, leads to M&A activities. We work with new partners, we onboard, off-board partners, we move locations. So how long does it take you to stand up a shop floor or an office, etc.? So again, this is the business agility part and the business value that those initiatives unlocking. And the questions to ask are very simple. Where's the value? Looking at that triangle, what are the appliances that we're retiring? How do we consolidate the vendors? What does it mean for operations? What's the scope? Again, looking at starting from the binary, what are the criteria? How many cloud applications can we identify? How do I manage risk if there's an application I don't know? And by the way, it's almost like catching a thief. There's always at least one more application out there than we know of. And number 3 is, how do we start? The easiest one for me as a CIO is to say, well, I want to have an impact, but how many ties do I have? Do I need to retire another kind of part of technology? Do I need to make big shifts, big steps? And in that one, the zero trust network access, which was one part of the stack, might be a good entry point to move forward. I would like to tell you a few words about Netskope. Founded in 2012 and grew significantly. We secure Microsoft Office largest 365 implementation. And globally out of the top 5, 3 are secured by Netskope. We also have 4 or 5 world's largest banks. Hello. 4 or 5 world's largest banks that we secure, major German OEMs and some major Swiss banks amongst them. And about me, I said guilty, guilty of many things, and started in consulting, moved through enterprise applications route to technology leadership roles, and now, since January, enjoying being an individual contributor at Netskope. I'm part of strategy office, as well as I teach at ESA Business School, and I keep one foot in automotive. Ennis & Co. are automotive executive search companies, so I say if anybody considers a leadership role in automotive, please talk to me. And if you would like to know more about what does it look like in real life. It was a very, very high level, very short presentation. I have wonderful colleagues who are very knowledgeable and friendly. So if you walk upstairs, turn left. That's your team to have further conversations. Thank you.